Total is an adjective that means complete, nothing more and nothing less. And that's what the T in TCR stands for, the C being compact and the R being road. Now, the TCR has been studiously living up to that name for the last 20 years, and nothing changes with this, the giant TCR Advanced Pro Disc 1, a bike that when we reviewed it, we loved so much, we just had to put on our editor's choice list. This is our review.
So the TCR frame was new for this year, wasn't it? Had a pretty major redesign. However, it looks pretty similar. It's still got high seat stays, which kind of really bucks the trend of what a lot of brands are doing. So Rupert, take me through this frame, what's changed about it for this year, and why is it quite so sensational? Yeah,
you are right to point that out. So fans of the TCR, and there are lots of fans of the TCR, will know this was a big change. When they introduced this year, it was a major overhaul of a very, very popular bike, in which, on the face of it, not a huge amount changed. It still looks like the TCR. It's still got that compact frame design, which means it doesn't have the dropped seat stays. And, you know, in its design, it looked very similar. And that's because Giant gave it a very subtle aerodynamic facelift. So for starters, they've given all of the tubing flat backs, which we know makes a frame more aerodynamic, and that is particularly noticeable sort of on the back of the forks here, and especially in the back of this head tube area here, and down on this tube in the back of the seat tube as well. And you know, it's a very subtle change, but it is significant because the TCR previously wasn't aerodynamically sort of orientated. But I think they recognized they had to make a change this year. Everyone else's lightweight bikes are becoming much more aerodynamic, and we've seen a convergence of those sort of two disciplines. And yes, you're right to point out that there are no drop seat stays on this bike. That is of course because it is a compact frame design, which Giant is famous for here, and it has that very sloping top tube into where it meets the seat stays. Now, actually, if you straightened that top tube, those seat stays would have the appearance of being dropped. It's just because of the angles of the top tube and where they meet. And Giant say that this has all the benefits of a dropped seat stay bike in that it adds comfort. It just also allows it to be that bit stiffer because you create smaller triangles, you increase the stiffness of the bike's frame.
I mean, Giant has long been famous for using its overdrive steerer, its power core bottom brackets. It's got lots of its own proprietary technology. How do these feature on this model?
Well, both feature again on the TCR line. So the power core bottom bracket is there. They have widened the down tube over the previous model. So actually, where we've seen a lot of lightweight bikes have been slimming their tubes and maintaining stiffness, Giant have actually gone, well, we can widen our down tube just to give it that bit more heft when you're pedaling along. And it's quite wide where that meets that power core bottom bracket. Overdrive steerer is also here as well. So for the uninitiated, overdrive steerer is Giant's wider steerer tube. It goes from 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 instead of a typical 1 1/8 to 1 1/4. So it is wider than what you get on other bikes, which does boost front end stiffness for when you're working really hard out the saddle, but most notably when you're descending. It improves handling, it helps you track a line much more carefully. There are some negatives to that. So it is only compatible with Giant's proprietary stems because it is wider. So if you are a fit fiddler or somebody that is a micro adjuster in how they like their bike to feel and to fit, you are probably going to need to invest in a couple of different Giant stems. It's not as easy as just flicking a new one on from whatever you have lying around.
And you do also have a proprietary seat post as well. So you have a D-shaped seat post. I mean, how much does that impact, say, ride comfort?
So Giant's D-fused seat post is used fairly extensively across Giant's range, both on the Defy and the TCR. And it is designed to be, as you've alluded to, more comfortable.
So Rupert, you have ridden both the real top flight model that you rode just after the launch and also this model, and we've chosen this one for editor's choice. It's a pretty hefty saving there, but that's not the only reason that we've chosen this model. So take us through what it was that you liked so much about this compared to the very top end option.
For quite a few different reasons. Number one being the seat post. So on this model, you can adjust the seat post in the frame, whereas on the Pro SL that I've tested before, you can't. I actually think that actually makes it a bit more comfortable as well than that C seat post, which I did find to be a little bit jarring on sort of the bigger hits when you were riding along on that top end Pro SL model. That's also the same in terms of the carbon fiber. This is a slightly lower modulus carbon that Giant use at this end of their range compared to the Pro SL, but I did just find it hit a sweet spot for me, a comfort sweet spot that the Pro SL just missed slightly. Don't get me wrong, that top end bike was hilarious fun to ride. I don't think I've ridden a bike that has been that stiff all year. Still ranks as the fastest bike I've ridden, but you know, to be that fast after 120, 130k is got to come with some negative impact in terms of fit and comfort.
So this bike comes in at 3,799, but I do notice there is a Power Pro sticker on that Ortega crankset, which means you are going to be getting a power meter within this price bracket, which I think is really quite impressive. Take me through the spec of this bike, what you liked, anything you sort of were less sure on.
Sure, yeah, you're right to point that out immediately, because that is one of the standout value features of this bike, is you do get Giant's own in-house power meter, which we've rated separately. We rate it very well. It does exactly what you would want a power meter to do. Fit and forget is basically what's key with this Power Pro power meter. There's no spikes, nothing sort of untoward in our testing. And the fact that you get it on a bike that is sub 4K is actually kind of a bit mind-blowing. When you think about what other brands are doing, you usually have to be paying north of at least £7,000 to start getting a power meter spec'd on a bike. It is really a top-end option. So the fact it's featured here, it's very impressive. Second standout piece of spec that I want to talk about are these Giant SLR1 carbon wheels. So we've been impressed by Giant's wheel range for a long time now, and we've been impressed by what they're able to spec on their own bikes. And this does largely come from being the largest bike manufacturer in the world. If you can start leveraging that scale, you can start offering consumers some seriously good pieces of equipment spec'd on your bikes that you make for yourself in-house. And that's exactly what happens with these SLR1 wheels, and they are really, really good. So they're carbon, 42 millimeters deep, which is like a lovely sweet spot for a carbon wheel, in my opinion, especially for a bike like this, which makes you want to ride fast. That depth of wheel is just a great partner. They're tubeless ready as standard and shipped to you set up and ready to go. And it also come paired with Giant's own course tires as well, all of which are made in-house. And to be honest with you, these wheels are probably better than what you're going to find spec'd on a comparatively priced bike. And I was looking around the market when I was reviewing this bike. A lot of bikes at sort of the 3,500 price point all came with aluminium wheels. So the fact that you're not just getting carbon wheels, but you're getting very good carbon wheels for this price is amazing. That's a wheel set you won't want to upgrade.
Mm-hmm. And these tyres, I mean, I've not tested these tyres. You have, I believe, and I think you were pretty impressed by them at the time.
Fast rolling, for sure, yeah. They're 25mm, which is Giant's size of choice. So Giant could be said to be, let's not say lagging behind, but steering a different course to the rest of the industry, who are almost uniformly, it seems, now speccing wider and wider tyres. And that was Specialized spec 26mm, right the way through to other brands specking 28 and even 30mm on their race bikes now. Mm-hmm. So whilst these are very good tyres, you can fit up to a 32mm tyre in this frame.
So, I mean, currently the bike is set up with an awful lot of stack there. You've got a lot going on under the bars. But what's really nice to see is you have got a lot of versatility. So those spaces are very different depths, which is going to make it probably quite easy to really fine tune your fit. Was that your experience when you tested the bike?
The whole front end is pretty simple because it is just it's not a one piece. There's no, as you can see, it's not internal cable routing either. So it wasn't hard to alter things and move stuff around. I do think there's sort of an in-between total internal routing and sort of internal routing that's going on here. It's not a hard bike to fix up. I did test the top end model, which was much more internally routed than this, and that was harder to alter the stack height on. So for those home mechanics, yeah, there's no need to be put off this model because of that. It is running a Shimano Ultegra group set in, it's a 5236 crankset, which is my choice of gearing. I find it complements this sort of carbon frame very well, and it's hydraulic as well. So bear that in mind. Depending on what you want, Giant do offer a whole range of rim brake bikes as well. So they've kept their arms open to the different types of brakes. So there's plenty of options for lots of different people.
All right, so we've talked about what's happened to the frame this year, we've talked about the spec, but of course what is most important is how it actually performs on the road. So tell me a bit about the ride quality of this bike, what you liked about it.
In terms of how it handles, it was very good in both like long, fast, straight descents. It felt very stable. Felt like you could really just kind of tuck in on it and let it just whirl up to speed and away you went. But equally, it was very good in those tight and twisty sections, and that overdrive steerer does really shine through in that. You can really push it into corners, and if you're linking corners together, it's very easy to do that without feeling sort of any twitchiness that you can feel if you have to make adjustments on the front end. It is very planted, and that is a confidence inspiring thing when you're riding a bike. Is a bike that doesn't move very much when you're pedaling along. It's a bike that you're going to feel very comfortable on, and crucially it's a bike you're going to feel very fast on. That is what I found with this model of TCR. So that is the Giant TCR Advanced Pro Disc 1, and you can tell from that review that I absolutely loved this bike. For £3,799, you're getting a power meter equipped as standard, and you're getting a set of very, very impressive carbon wheels at the point of purchase. So there's no need to upgrade, both in terms of performance and in terms of value. It was very hard to fault this bike, and that's why I've put it on our Editor's Choice list this year.
We do have a selection of these Editor's Choice videos coming out as we publish these annual awards, and do check out the website because all of the bikes selected for the Editor's Choice Award are online there. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do hit the like button if you did. Drop any questions you have in the comments, and do hit subscribe if you want to see more of our videos in the future.